Chief Keef has more arrests than he does official records. His music rose to prominence during his adolescent years in the early 2010s, where he quickly started dominating the Chicago rap scene. Chief Keef is a rap legend and icon in his own right, but he isn't friends with everyone and has made plenty of enemies along the road. Keep watching till the end of this video to see why rappers are really scared of Chief Keef. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Before we get into the video, subscribe and hit the notification button to be notified when we upload more content. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Thanks. Chief Keef's criminal history. Chief Keef has an extensive criminal history, and if we were to mention everything, we would literally be here all day. So we have compiled some of his more serious arrests and legal issues to help highlight why other rappers are scared of Keef and don't want to associate with the Chicago rapper. Keef's criminal history dates back to his childhood. The Chicago-born rapper was arrested on heroin manufacturing and distribution allegations in January 2011. He was found to be a delinquent at the time. Rather than convicted of his charges as a juvenile offender, he was placed under home arrest. Only about a year later, in 2012, Chicago police said that Chief Keef was being investigated for a probable link to the shooting murder of Joseph Coleman, a fellow rapper who went by the stage name Lil Jojo. Chief Keef was suspected for his murder as he quickly began mocking the rapper's death on Twitter, which he later claimed was the result of his account being hacked. Coleman's mother has stated and still believes to this day that Chief Keef paid for her son's death. However, this was never confirmed and Keef ultimately got away with this charge. Only about a year later, Chief Keef was sued for $75,000 by Team Major, a promotion business based in Washington, D.C., for a missed show on January 17, 2013. He was scheduled to perform at the O2 Arena in London in late 2012, but never showed up. The rapper chose to disregard the lawsuit, and the court ordered him to pay $230,019 in damages. Insane, right? Now you can probably see a pattern here. Keef seems to get in trouble with the law pretty much every year, more frequently than he drops albums. That same year, in May 2013, the rapper was arrested for reportedly consuming marijuana in public and for disruptive behavior in an upmarket hotel in Georgia. On June 17th, he pleaded guilty. After testing positive for marijuana soon after, Keef was sentenced to 20 days in prison for violating his probation. He was subsequently freed just days later due to excellent behavior. Many people now don't agree with the amount of trouble he got into for using marijuana, as today it is much more regulated and legal in various states. This also highlights the war on drugs and how charging people with marijuana possession seems extremely unethical today. After a short spell in rehab, Chief Keef was arrested in March 2014 for driving under the influence of marijuana, driving with a suspended license, and no proof of insurance. Finally, Chief Keef was arrested in January 2017 for allegedly assaulting and robbing a producer named Ramsey the Great. He claimed Chief Keef took his Rolex watch and threatened him with guns. Due to a lack of evidence, these accusations were withdrawn. Chief Keef was then arrested once again in South Dakota for marijuana possession and smoking in June 2017, but was able to post bail, so the charges went to trial. The rapper was ultimately given a suspended sentence in 2019. But it's not just his criminal past that scares other rappers. Lupe Fiasco speaks about being afraid of Chief Keef in 2012. I'm afraid of Chief Keef. Not him particularly, but the Chicago lifestyle that he represents. Those controversial but truthful statements were spoken by Lupe Fiasco of Chicago during a radio interview back in 2012. These comments came following the death of Lil Jojo, a promising teen rapper from Chicago, who was killed by gunfire back in 2012. If you know anything about Chicago, and especially the rap scene there, you'll know that news of another teenager being killed isn't really breaking news. According to this harrowing report by Complex, at the time of Lil Jojo's death, a total of 38 kids had been slain in Chicago just that summer. Lupe talked candidly, as someone who adores his hometown and is concerned about its future. His reaction was very emotional. He worries me. He wasn't sure if it made sense. He made it clear that that what he represents, not the rapper himself, scares him. Lupe is correct. We should all be terrified. People like him and JoJo are the face of today's Chicago youth and upcoming rappers. Looking back at some of Keef's key moments in his life, growing up in a shattered household, being raised by an overworked grandma, getting into a lot of problems on the streets, and having a baby while on probation, it's no wonder he got mixed up with the wrong crowd. This seems to be a running theme, with the vast majority of Chicago-based rappers being heavily involved in violence and crime or growing up in a very volatile environment. Many of the most feared rappers come from Chicago, specifically the South Side, where things are incredibly rough for most growing up there. It's unclear whether Lupe still feels this way, but he is certainly not alone, as many rappers and artists fear Keef and his scary past. Next is his beef with Tekashi 6ix9ine. One of Keef's biggest rap feuds is with none other than Tekashi 6ix9ine. The rivalry allegedly arose from Tekashi's romantic involvement with female rapper Cuban Doll back in 2018, with most of their arguing taking place on social media. The female rapper had been dating Tadoe, Chief Keef's cousin, before meeting Tekashi. After Tadoe found out about Cuban's relationship with 6ix9ine, she was subjected to ruthless domestic violence and abuse. She then went on Instagram Live to show off her injuries and accused Tadoe of being the one who caused them. In another video, Tekashi appears to be arguing with her former lover, who can even be heard saying, "Lose this number, I kill people." This instance is what got Chief Keef involved, and the beef seemed to switch from 6ix9ine and Tadoe to Keef instead. Quickly after all this went down, in a since-deleted Instagram video from May 2018, Tekashi taunted Chief Keef by claiming that he had 48 hours to murder him. Shots were then fired near Chief Keef, who was at the W Hotel in Times Square in New York City. On June 2nd, less than a week later, Tadoe was also present with Keef. It's unclear who the rounds were aimed at because they were so far off target. The culprits were not apprehended, although many suspect Tekashi was involved in some way, despite the fact that he was in Los Angeles at the time. The rapper even later admitted to ordering the shooting with the intention of taking either one of them, if not both, out. 6ix9ine shared a video shortly after the altercation that shows him roaming around Chicago. "Ain't nobody out here," he wrote in his caption. "I came to yo block." It was clear that the threat was targeted directly at Chief Keef, who hails from Chicago. He then released a video to his Instagram account in which he taunts and repeats what Chief Keef stated. First it was, "Don't come to Chicago." Now it's, "Hey, you're with security," Tekashi explains. The rapper went on to claim that he was alone and that if Keef wanted to do something, he would not back down or hide. Following this, the beef pretty much stopped as Tekashi 6ix9ine was sent to prison. And there you have it, everything you need to know about why rappers are really scared of rapper Chief Keef. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and comment down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new to the channel to be notified when we upload more content. Thanks.